Puerto Rico, créeme cuando te digo que somos mucho más grandes que 100 por 35. To all the people that had to leave their homeland, their country to follow their dreams. Para todas las personas que han perdido un ser querido y aún así han tenido que seguir hacia adelante y continuar con mucha fuerza. A todos los latinos en el mundo entero y todos los artistas que estuvieron antes y que merecieron estar en esta tarima recogiendo este premio. Muchas gracias.
Un aplauso para mami y papi, porque en verdad rompieron. Gracias mami por parirme aquí. Ey, el mejor de la nueva porque me crié en la vieja. Gracias a mami y papi por todos los jalos en oreja. Nunca me han visto en la calle ni en los podcasts ando quea.
Puerto Rico has recently seen one of the biggest booms in public interest of all time, all thanks to one man. With this influx of attention, we've seen thousands of people become interested in the culture, the music, the food, and the legends. This interest has very rarely, however, seen any direct impact on the island from outsiders. This interest in the culture ends up being treated as nothing more than a fad. Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, Ricky Martin, maybe not all to the same level, had the same impact in the past, and it came and went. Every time one of the greats like Carmelo Anthony set a record, or fictional Miles Morales swung across the screen, the people became interested, sure, but only for a bit. It's not these legends' faults, because really their achievements do help our people shine, but it's those who witnessed their greatness who've got it all wrong. Like a hit show that comes and goes, or a TikTok dance that lasts a lucky month, the culture is always taken for granted. At times, the identity is only an outfit people try to sport for their own self-interest until the real work has to be done. The work for the people.
14 días y contando. Ese es el tiempo que llevan sin agua los vecinos
Caguas, varias comunidades llevan
de
7 días.
Los padres mayores y están sufriendo y ellos no lo ven. Siempre es para los ricos y los pobres somos los únicos que estamos sufriendo.
Esa ira es la verdadera crisis de esta universidad. Ella ha paralizado esta universidad y realmente los estudiantes estamos en total disposición.
Los Rubén Brothers, Three Rules Capital, están detrás de este proyecto que amenaza 1.549 cuerdas de terreno en Cabo Rojo, lo cual equivale a 3 isletas de San Juan.
Estamos exigiendo la renuncia de la señora gobernadora porque ella, junto a su secretario de la gobernación, han traído al gobierno de Puerto Rico un lastre de corrupción.
I'm here today as all the Puerto Ricans are here because we want the contract of Luma ended and we want Luma out of Puerto Rico.
Y lo dejan frito y el pobre negrito tiene que pagar la polla.
Currently, Puerto Rico is undergoing quite a few issues. Horrible government, problems with public schooling, electricity, and now most pressingly a water crisis. Days, weeks for some people, months have gone by near the northern coast in areas like San Juan, Loíza, Guaynabo, etc. This side of the island is in crisis. They have no water. The answer as to why is the same side reason we've heard before with the electricity. A shitty infrastructure is bottlenecking the progression of a people. I used to live in New Jersey before moving back to Puerto Rico, my place of origin, a few years back. When I made this move, the most polarizing thing to me were the days when the lights went dark and the faucets went dry. The whole neighborhood went on autopilot. A few neighbors would walk outside to ask if everyone else's power had gone out too. You'd hear them yell from house to house. And once their suspicions were confirmed, a minute of silence ensued until the harsh chugging of generators rang throughout the mountain roads. You might wait for it to rain to catch the water and boil it to take a shower, or go down to the water tank just to realize for some reason it's coming out dirty, as if you hadn't just replaced it. These situations aren't just things people do when natural disasters hit. These are daily occurrences in Puerto Rico. And while I mentioned before that these issues come from bad infrastructure, the ladder of blame goes much higher than mentioned previously. You see, the water in the metropolitan area comes in from one source called the super aqueduct. This super aqueduct began production in the late 90s and has provided water for about 20 years. The problems with said aqueduct started about 20 years ago, really. You see, its construction began using tubes that were simply too big to be sourced on the island, 74-inch tubes to be exact. So a custom manufacturing plant had to be made on the island for the creation of the duct. This plant ran up until the finalization of the project, where it was later canned and destroyed. The problem here seems to explain itself. If you have no way of developing any new tubes, surely restoration down the line is going to be near impossible. And so here we are. The most simple way of handling such a damaged system is of course to replace the years-old tubes with new ones, but they can't do that anymore. This oversight is stupid, but it becomes weird when you look at it from the lens of political scandal, specifically the political landscape of 2004. While not in charge of the deal, or the plan, or the financials, or really even qualified to make decisions related to what was happening here, there were two men responsible for what companies were given contracts to work on and do maintenance for these super ducts we mentioned before. René Vázquez Botet y Marcos Morel Corrada, both a part of the PNP party, or the Partido Nuevo Progresista. Their roles were individually campaign manager to the governor, Pedro Rosselló, and Secretary General of the New Progressive Party. What they did was not help select who got to work there by picking the best company, but instead by enlisting the company that would allow them to gain enough money under the table. Vasquez amassed over $360,000 and Morel $125,000 because of the under-table payments that were hidden as legal fees. Altogether, they got $2 million from the construction companies. They were tried and found guilty of these accounts in the United States versus Vasquez Botet case. In the 2000s, concerns arose about the actual quality of the tubes being used and the structural weak points identified at the time. 10 years later in 2010, the project wasn't in question, but actually seemed to be completely neglected.
Apenas 8 años después de inaugurado, el superacueducto ya mostraba signos de abandono y falta de mantenimiento, según detalló una auditoría del Contralor en el 2010. El doctor Santiago Vázquez lamentaba que no veía interés del gobierno en el proyecto.
Pues nada, está muerto. ¿Tú has oído a alguien mencionar que esto termina el superacueducto?
With a team selected for the individual gains of the few, it's no wonder people were worried about the aqueduct. How can you trust the government to oversee the works on the project if all they looked out for before was the size of their pockets? How good could the aqueduct be? Really. When you fast forward to 2026, here we are. Big ass island, surrounded by water, and there's no water. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. Assistant efforts don't make any sense either. The governor, Jennifer Gonzalez, deployed the National Guard who distributes water using 2,000-gallon trucks to the people. Sounds good, but tourism companies have been instructed to do the same to get water to hotels and short-term rentals. These companies bring 12,800-gallon trucks around. That's 6.4 times the amount of water going to the people. If the objective of these trucks is to serve the people, which it should be, then there is obviously a conflict of interest here. Tourists deserve their water too, of course, but when you can afford to go on vacation, chances are you can afford to go back home where water is plentiful. Inhabitants do not get this luxury. They have to drive far out to find water sources, which is made harder by a lack of resources. Almost half the island lives below the poverty line. How many of these people don't have a car? How many of these people need to decide between paying the next bill and getting their family water to drink? What we see is what we always tend to see. When the government fails, the people stand up. So far, 17 additional tanker trucks from other municipalities of the island have been offered up to assist those areas with no water. Every day, people are coming around with trunks full of cases of water ready to help those in need. In a way, it's beautiful to see the efforts Puerto Rican make to help out in times of need, but it's also saddening. The sacrifices we make to keep each other alive would not be needed if our government had our best interest at heart. But that's seldom been true for any nation, probably ever, really. The island continues regardless. Its people are unrelenting. The media in the past few years has gotten confused with Puerto Rico's newfound fame. It paints our people out to be like the rare and beautiful Puerto Rican Amazon. The parrot is endangered and dwindling, struggling to hold on to the very population it has left. It relies on help from the outside to bring its population back from the brink of death. But like the brilliant Boricua author Magali Garcia Ramis explained before, we share much more in common with the common chango. The chango who finds food in whatever situation it's placed in. The chango who is activated by the sound of music, who cares for its kids, who makes a home wherever it finds itself. Weeks ago, Puerto Ricans who don't even live on the island made a show of their pride in a place that never wanted them there. And they did so without falter. If Puerto Rico has now become a place that no longer wants Puerto Ricans, then those who live on the island will surely be able to do the same. Puerto Ricans might be common, scrappy, loud, unrelenting, whatever label you wish to place upon us. But I can assure you that extinct is a label you'll never have the pleasure of uttering as a truth.
Esta canción